All right, welcome in. It's Monday. It's a new week. It's time for Total Bases. Tokyo Brandon is back in Tokyo, dressed for the occasion. That's actually that's one of your better fits right there, TV. Very accessorized. Love it. We got
Elton John inspired.
Elton John inspired. We got a lot of colors on the screen today. We got orange, we got pink, we got Savannah Bananas highlighter yellow. So let's get it going on a Monday. We got a doubleheader in the mix today, a little day baseball on the Monday, which we don't always get. And hope you guys had a good weekend. I finally had a good day yesterday. 2-0 sweep for me. I say that because first couple weeks of August were not great for me. It's going to happen. I had 3 really good months and did some giving back in the first 2 weeks of August, but at your Guardians' expense yesterday, Bryan Leonard, I hit my best bet with the Padres, nice and easy. I got another nice and easy one at night in AAA. So a 2-0 day, and I'm trying to build on that today. Bryan Leonard, how was your weekend? We missed you on Saturday. Hope everything is good.
Yeah, just didn't get any sleep at night, and I didn't know if I'd be able to add anything at 6 o'clock in the morning. But I watched the show, and you guys filled in very nicely, as you always do. So, I had that one bad day last Thursday, I believe. I went 0-3, and I think I lost that 5 that day. And but that, other than that, that was like a blip on the radar. We've been winning, swept the last 2 days, got another 4% going today on a total, and we've been killing these totals lately. So, I'm pretty excited about it. Back to number one the last 30 days, number one the last 12 years, and number one the last 12 months overall in net profit at WagerTalk. So if you haven't joined yet, join one of us because we're having pretty nice seasons.
Yeah, Tokyo Brandon, every time I ask you how you're doing, it's a winning day. So hopefully that continued over the weekend. How was the last couple of days for you?
It did. I was on the Padres as well, and I rarely bet the Padres because I hate that team. But yesterday was a perfect spot to bet them, and the line was perfect. So I was on the Padres as well. I also had the Blue Jays first 5 money line, which almost won for me, but it ended up a push. And on my Sunday show, I gave out 4 best bets, and they all cashed. So, but I didn't have a % on them on my WagerTalk channel. But anyways. It was good. It was good. I'm plus 100 something this year, so I've doubled the bankroll 4 of the last 5 years for my clients. So feeling good, feeling like the Rocket Man.
All right, I'm feeling good about a new week. We're gonna get into one more thing before we get into games, because I know some of you. I got a lot of messages about Josh Baez on Saturday, and if you watch this show. You would have known who that was. We had some guys in the chat hit like plus 600s on him to hit a home run. TB and I brought it up on Saturday that he was getting called up, and so shout out to anyone that took what they learned here and turned it into a winner. That was incredible. What a performance! 3 homers in his first 3 at bats. Man. Where the Cardinals would be if they just did that 2 months ago. But that's a discussion for maybe later in the show when we talk about their doubleheader. First, we're talking about national TV. ESPN tonight, Bryan Leonard, I feel like they probably rolled the dice when they scheduled this game. It was like, well, maybe we'll get Skubal, maybe we'll get Skeens, maybe we'll get both. No, you're going to get Framber Valdez against Carmen Mlodzinski. So maybe a little swing and a miss for ESPN. But this is national TV tonight. That's where you will find this game. Tigers still very much in the mix, as is, everyone but the Royals in that division. Pirates, maybe not so much these days. Tigers, Pirates to you. How do you see this one?
Yeah, Valdez the lefty against Mlodzinski the righty. We're looking at Detroit, about a 110 favorite. I'll basically pick them with an 8, slightly to the over. If I'm doing anything on this one, I'm probably playing the over. Valdez had a really nice start lately, but I'm not buying into it. Pittsburgh at home, usually a pretty good pitcher's ballpark, but this year Pirates hit very well at home. They're not as hot as they have been in the past, but with a total of 8 and 8.5 here, somewhere in between, you can actually lay over 8 at minus 107 at some places out there. So Yeah, I think that's pretty low. If you take a look at neither one of these teams blows you away from a pitching standpoint, especially in the bullpen. If I'm playing, it's a small card today. I do have a 4% total up right now for clients, but if I'm playing anything in this one, it's going to be the over, and I may come back and, depending on how the rest of the day goes or the show goes, I may come back and use this as my play. But we just started, so I'll keep that in reserve.
You know, Carmen Mlodzinski's an interesting case because earlier in the year, he was struggling. He got taken out of the rotation. He was very vocal about not being very happy about losing his starting spot to the point where it was like uncomfortable a little bit with some of the, the comments he made. Very, very not necessarily team first comments, in my opinion. That blew over, and he went to the bullpen and was outstanding in the sort of mop up bulk role. Oftentimes he would come in after a starter when his team was behind. I mean, and he would lock it down for 3 innings, 2-3 innings every time he came in. Since he's been back into the starting role, he's gotten absolutely crushed. Back-to-back games, Mets and Marlins, I believe, are his, and I just want to make sure I'm not misspeaking here. Yes, so he was put back into the rotation on August 7th against the Mets. He gave up 5 runs on 7 hits in 3 innings. He started the next time out against the Marlins. He gave up 4 runs on 5 hits and 2 1/3. So now the Pirates, I guess, maybe lacking better options with some other, guys kind of falling through at this point, Tokyo Brandon. He will be in the starting rotation again. I'm not sure I really love that for a Pirates team that's kind of struggling right now. So Tigers, Pirates, how do you see this one?
Yeah, for a guy with a 1.40 whip as a reliever, kind of odd to let him start games. But usually when you're a starter, your whip will not improve because you're pitching longer. But anyway, he has 11 at-bats against these guys. He's only given a hit away. It's not really a big sample size. Framber Valdez is the more stable of the two. And against the Pirates, 233 average against, 581. Yeah, I trust Valdez here. And the Tigers hitting about 3 points better than the Pirates in my rankings. And bullpen's pretty much neck and neck. I don't see a huge difference between these two teams, except in the starting pitching. I trust Valdez a little more, and everything else I have pretty even, which is not enough for me to make a bet on it. But if I were to play it, I would play the Tigers.
Yeah, so something I will point out, I guess to make a pro Pirates argument, they are sort of fading and falling out of the race in the wild card, but that's not entirely their fault. Like the National League just has really, really good teams. So, they've won 3 of their last 4. The Pirates actually just took a 2 out of 3 from the Red Sox over the weekend. So the thing that I want to point out here is the last 3 days, if you throw out Saturday's game, they've started to hit again. And that's really what sort of took the Pirates from on the fringe of being competitive in the wild card race to 6.5 back, is the fact that they just stopped hitting. Last couple of days, the offense has come around. And the reason that that's important here, and the reason that's notable here, is specifically they have crushed right-handed pitching this year. Tokyo Brandon, you just used Framber Valdez and stable in the same sentence. Now, I don't want to misspeak here because they are up against Valdez is a lefty. So I want to make sure I started to sort of make their case against right-handed pitching. Valdez is a lefty. But this was a team that was hitting in the top 5 pretty much regardless all season. Framber, in my opinion, I think he's very Jekyll and Hyde. I don't know if I would necessarily call him stable, but to your point, Tokyo Brandon, lately he's been his good self. 7 innings against the A's, 7 shutout against the Mariners. And last time out was pretty good against the Guardians. Even though he gave up a couple of runs, had a couple of walks, he still pitched into the 6th inning. I think I'm with you. I think I lean toward the Tigers here because I just think they're a better ball club right now. But I also wouldn't hate maybe an over. Brian, what's the total in this game? Is it 8.5?
You can get the 8s at basically -110. Couple 8.5s out there at minus 117 to the under.
Yeah, I'm right around 8.5 on a projection. So I guess like small leans here. I maybe agree with you on the Tigers, and I think I probably would lean toward the over because the Pirates are starting to hit again. Brian, go ahead.
Yeah, I am going to make this my parlay piece. I'm going to play the over here, over the 8. You can get it minus 110, minus 115 at worst, but there's plenty of spots with minus 110. The reason being that I went back and looked at the game scores, and Valdez on the season is a 50. He's an average pitcher in the major leagues. Mlodzinski's a 48, slightly below average. And yet you're playing in what has been a pretty good hitter's ballpark all season long, and you're getting an 8. An 8 should be when you've got good pitchers on the mound, and they don't. From the Pittsburgh standpoint, if you take a look at their bullpen, their top 6 guys in the bullpen, well, actually, let's make it 5. The top 5 guys in the bullpen have all pitched at least 2 out of the last 3 days. So they're going to have to use lesser players. Isaac Matson, who they brought up from AAA, has not pitched in 4 days. I'm sure we'll see him up there. And they've also had, they've just brought up Hunter Barco back. There were 47 pitches yesterday, 52 for Bashar. So they're really hurting in the bullpen in this game. And, I'm not enamored with the Detroit bullpen either. So, I'm going to play this game over the 8 minus 110 is my part of the parlay.
Yeah, and just to add one more thing to that, Brian, it really seemed to me like the Pirates offense went when Esmeralda Valdez got ice cold for a couple weeks. His last 4 games, 2 hits, 1 hit, 2 hits, 2 hits. So he's now, I believe, has a 6-game hitting streak, and 3 of them are multi-hit games. When that guy was cooking earlier this year, the Pirates were putting up crooked numbers left and right. So I think the over makes a ton of sense. Oh, listen. I had a rough couple weeks, so I'll take all of the props on Baez that you want to give me. Dan,
you would think you're his hitting coach.
Listen, and this will bring us in because I do want to talk about this doubleheader. It is the 1-day game today, and then of course they're going to play a day-night doubleheader out in Cincinnati. This is the thing, like. Joshua Baez started the year at AAA. This is why I was so vocal about thinking that the Cardinals sort of messed up in this regard, because he started the year in AAA. So sometimes, guys come up and they start in AA and they get to AAA and go crazy. And then you have management sitting there like, what do we do? Right? Because the plan was to have this guy in AAA longer, but he's forcing our hand. Do we call him up and lose the year? So on and so forth. Josh Baez started the year in AAA, and he's done nothing but do what he's doing. I think he has 2 3 home run games in AAA this year, and then he did it at the big league level. The other reason that it's just, to me, was mind-blowing to see how long they waited was the Cardinals are very much in the mix. They were very much in the mix, even more so, Brian, going back to June 1st. And they sat there with the worst offense in baseball for a month and sat on this guy, which just simply did not make sense to me. The reason I'm walking through that again here is I truly believe the Cardinals, just by calling this guy up, massively upgraded a lineup that was struggling. Brian, you at the beginning of the year, you were 100% right on the Cardinals being much better than the market was suggesting they would be this year. I might be in on the Cardinals a little bit just because of this move. I think they got themselves a cleanup hitter right now. Reds, Cardinals to you.
Yep. I've known about him all season long. He was my number 1 draft choice out of the minor leaguers in my fantasy league. Been waiting on him all season long. Could not understand it. We just talked about this just last week. They said They didn't think they were going to bring him up. And we're thinking, well, what the hell's going on? I've read a lot about it, and basically the Cardinals did not expect to do well this year. So they came into the season with the viewpoint that they were just going to bring in some younger players, give them a shot. And they weren't going to be in contention. Well, they surprised themselves and were in contention and still are. They're only 3.5 games out of the wild card. So that was a situation for St. Louis. They didn't want to bring him up and have to send him back down again. So I understand what they did. It just is if you're a Cardinals fan, I like the moves they made in the offseason, got rid of some dead weight from the older players. So I like what they're doing, but yeah, they probably should have brought him up before that. But in this series, we've got St. Louis at Cincinnati, 2 games. Matthews, the lefty, is going in game 1, and Cincinnati has not decided on who they're using as of yet. We'll talk about that a little bit. Palante in game 2 against Lauder. And basically, St. Louis is about a 120 favorite in both games with a total. First game, basically about the same totals, 9.5 on both of them. So they're both very similar. I think this is going to be, I went over the lineups in this one. I think we're going to see some good hitting in this matchup with the weather and everything there. So if I'm looking at anything here, I'm not blown away by any of the starters there. Lauder's a guy who I've considered a 4A guy, and he's been doing pretty well. Palante's been okay. Matthews, his numbers have not been they've been better than what his base numbers are, but I don't know if I believe in them. So, we got 2 teams right now. Cincinnati's hitting better now than they had earlier. St. Louis now, with, as you mentioned, a key guy in the middle of the lineup. I would look into trying to go over on one of these games, just see how it plays out.
Yeah, that absolutely could play here. It looks like the first game the Reds have not decided yet. I read Chase Petty is an option, but also it could just be a bullpen game.
Yeah.
Tokyo Brandon, I know you hate bullpen games. I'm not like getting a warm, fuzzy feeling about a Reds bullpen game headlined by Chase Petty. I don't know about you. That doesn't do it for me. And to make Brian's point here just a little bit, Quinn Matthews is a guy that I do like, but what I don't like that teams do when teams do this, we sometimes bring up the term 4A. Okay. And we usually do it in a negative way to describe like someone like a Randy Dobnak or something who's been great. But like the point is what a 4A guy really is someone that is a pro that's typically been around for a while, that's like reliable enough to like call him up for a little bit, but you can, probably is the level of AAA talent. And those are typically the guys that I want to see like yo-yoed back and forth from the minors to the big leagues, to the minors to the big leagues. What I don't like at all is when teams do it with prospects. And that is sort of what the Cardinals are doing here, in my opinion. Like, to me, when you called up Quinn Matthews, who was one of the top prospects in your organization and a pretty high draft pick, and then he makes his major league debut on August 1st, in my opinion, like he's got to be up. Like, you don't just do that to send him back to Memphis for like 2 starts, and now you're calling him back up here. I watch enough AAA baseball. It typically doesn't go well. Think Jack Leiter in the first year that he was in the league. The Rangers did this to him constantly. It didn't go well. And so, like, Brian, that's another thing. Like, Quinn Matthews was all over the place in his most recent couple starts in the minors. And so now it feels like, I don't know. I don't know that I'm getting the warm, like, again, I don't get a warm, fuzzy feeling about this for them either. And the Reds have been better against left-handed pitching. So Brian likes the over. I think I agree with him. Tokyo Brandon, Reds, Cardinals to you. Both games, game 1 or game 2, whatever you're seeing here.
Before I do that, let me promote. We've got a double play. You can get 2 of us 3 for 3 days, all access to our baseball plays. It's a great deal. I have 2 MLB plays out today, and I'm sure my esteemed colleagues will be putting something out as well. So it's great value. I'm number 2, Adam's number 3. We're going back and forth there. Brian's number 1 the last 3 days. You couldn't pick 2 better cappers at WagerTalk, in my opinion. So let's get on to this. Normally in a doubleheader, so you're saying that the Reds bullpen does not warm the cockles of your bowels. Is that right, Adam?
That's very correct. Yeah.
Okay. So you can quote me.
I don't want 9 innings of that. Yeah, that's.
I'm full of it, or I'm full of them. Anyways, moving on. I generally in double plays will only look at the first game, but in this case, I'll only look at the second game because the first game is just way too many red flags and X factors and a bunch of. It's like a circus. people like dwarves flipping on trapezes and stuff. I'm not going to bet that stuff. So let's go to the game 2 where we at least know who's going to start the game. Man, St. Louis is on a tear, though. I didn't expect this team to be this good. As a matter of fact, I was one of the doomsdayers saying they could have the worst record in MLB. Have they proven me wrong? Absolutely. Unfortunately, their starting rotation doesn't exactly strike fear into the hearts of evil. McGreevy, Liberatore, Palante, and Leahy are not exactly going to make batters sweat the night before the game. But the hitting is good. I got the Cardinals ranked number 10 out of 30, where I got the Reds 25. Starting pitcher, Palante, way higher than Louder. I got him on a scale of 30, ranked 11, where I got Louder 23. So the bullpen is the problem in St. Louis. Their bullpen is not performing well right now, and the Reds bullpen is performing outstanding. So I would throw out the bullpens and maybe take St. Louis in the first 5 on the money line in game 2. Probably how I would play it. I might make that my parlay leg as well.
TB, I absolutely think the spot for the Cardinals in this doubleheader is game 2, not so much game 1. I actually, Jay Pacino makes a good point here. The Reds are much, much better against left-handed pitching. They've been dead last against right-handed pitching all season in OPS. If you can trust the Reds to mix and match in game 1, I think you could take a shot with the Reds as an underdog in game 1. In game 2, when you know they're going to face a right-handed pitcher, I think it makes more sense to look at the Cardinals in game 2. Brian, I think game 1, though, probably makes the most. If you like the over and you think there's going to be runs in this doubleheader, it's probably game 1 that sets up better for runs here, in my opinion. And the other thing I'll be looking at, as always with doubleheaders, is what the lineups are. I want to see a lineup for game 1. I want to see what the strategy is for both teams. And then, of course, if I can get a little more info on what the Reds are going to do, that game 1, Quinn Matthews looked so shaky in his couple starts with Memphis recently that I just I don't know. It's not a good vibe for me. Call up the kid that's your high draft pick. You put him out there. He gets his major league debut, instantly sent back down to Memphis. And now you're calling him up on a one-off, it seems, to pitch in a doubleheader. I don't know. I don't see that ending well. So maybe it's just runs in that first game, like Brian said. All right, let's move it along. Plenty of games today. Going back to the chat here. Oh, there's got a couple of starred. We got Alex Rand. Thank you for the donation in the super chat. He is saying, good morning. Should the D-backs be big dogs or be dogs in this spot? Brian, you weren't here on Saturday, so I didn't get a chance to properly shout out the Brandon Pfaadt first 5 innings plus 175 winner that you gave out on the show on Friday. That was a tremendous call. Arizona's been a tremendous call as an underdog for most of the year. I don't have that info in front of me. I'd love to know what their success rate is as a dog. I have to imagine it's been really, really good this year. I feel like, just going off of my top of my head, they swept the Dodgers as big underdogs in that series right before the All-Star break. This team seems like they win a lot as a plus money underdog. Tonight they're at Fenway Park. So for Alex Rand, should Arizona be underdogs tonight? And also, do you like them here?
They're 42 and 43 as a dog, by the way.
So that's pretty good. That's plus money. That's winning.
Big plus money. Yeah.
Yeah.
Brought the lefty against Gamboa. The lefty, he's going to be 1 inning or whatever, and then they're going to go in with Brian Bayo. And I can't remember ever saying this, but I'd like the over here. But Brian Bayo has been so good in this new role that it may keep me off of this game. Brad's numbers are not nearly as good as what they're showing. In fact, I think he's going to get hit pretty well here. Boston's not great versus lefties, but I think they'll get to Brat. I think this is going to be a high-scoring game. The only problem is that part where he's in there. I think Boston could take an edge there. But yeah, we're looking at Boston about a 140 favorite here. Total either 8.5 to the over 20 or 9 to the under 20, something like that. But if you can get that 8.5 to the over and not lay more than 120. I think that's a decent bet here, even though Bayo's in there. You're taught one. We've seen over the years many guys, like you talked about the Pittsburgh starter in this regard earlier. One role they're in, they're terrible. The other role they're in, they're great. And why is that? Why is Brian Bello not starting in the first inning? Why is all of a sudden he's good now and he's been terrible his entire career?
I think there's something to, like, you know, a guy coming in, like, let's say, like, I'm just gonna use a team for example. Like, let's say you're pitching against the Phillies, right? And you don't have to start the game facing Schwarber, Harper, Trey Turner. I think that's, like, you know, I think that's big for some guys to, like, be able to just, like, settle into the game. You know, you're not, like, out there at the beginning, but also you miss those first couple guys. I don't know. I think it's probably, like, baseball is such a mental game. I think some guys probably just do better having the first inning to, like, get their bearings in the bullpen, get into the flow of the game. I can't, otherwise it doesn't make any sense. Why did Carmen Mlodzinski shove for a month out of the bullpen and then he starts games and gets blown up? Brian Baylor we trashed him mercilessly on this show, and now he's coming in this spot. He's been good. It's very hard to explain for sure.
Yeah. I remember when Randy Johnson would pitch, they'd always say, get him early, because once he gets in his groove, well, he was also 6'7" or whatever.
6'10", 6'11".
6'10".
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be 6'10". You're right. That's right.
And crazy. He's an artist now.
He's a photographer. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or a photographer. Sorry. Yeah. He takes photos. Anyway, I'd rather have Scott Baio than Brian Baio. I just don't like him, but he might be the better choice today. I got Boston hitting better than the Diamondbacks just by 2 points, and I got the bullpen 2 points better. So it's one of those games where everything is pretty equal. I'm probably better off not betting this game, I would think.
You did mention. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
I'll take Nicole Eggert instead.
Well, I was going to say, you mentioned who you would take. Keep in mind that you did mention earlier you got the Elton John look. So that would be clearly a choice of Elton.
Not a woman.
Yes.
So
I'll take Nicole Eggert.
Brian, I'm with you in the respect that, like, I think I like the Red Sox here because I'm willing to play against Brott. I've watched a lot of him at Reno, and this is just a thing where I've watched him long enough at this point. Like, I just don't know that he's like a guy that's going to really stick at the big league level and be in like a starting rotation. I think, listen, he's a lefty. He's got an interesting little deal. Like, he, you know, hops when he throws, puts like, it's like a different look. I think it keeps people like off balance a little bit. But, like, do I think right now, like, I don't think his stuff is like really good enough to, in my opinion, do what he's done the last couple times out. I mean, this is a guy that went out against, shut out the Padres for 7 innings, 9 strikeouts. Really good last time out against the Rockies. Had a good outing against the Guardians. Like, again, like, I think he's running hot right now. But if you like looked at, like, I don't know, like, just to me, I don't know. Again, this is more of a gut call watching him a lot in the minors. Like, I think he's probably going to get hit at some point. I just don't know that his stuff is good enough to like come in and run this out the rest of the year. I think Arizona is thrilled at what they're getting from him in the rotation right now, because otherwise there'd be some kind of question marks as to what they would do with this rotation spot. So he's going to continue to go out there for them. Like, he's sort of earned the right to do that. 4 straight starts where he's gone at least 5 innings, and then back-to-back quality outings. But like the Red Sox, up until like the last week or two, were one of the hottest teams on planet Earth, and they've cooled a little bit. But like, I don't know. I think Sox, Fenway, at home, feels like they probably get going again at some point, and it very well could be tonight. So I minus 140 was kind of crazy. Going back to the original post, like, yeah, I'm not dying to like take a bad number against the Diamondbacks team that we now, Brian's found the numbers. They've been very profitable as a dog. So maybe, man, we keep landing on overs. I hope the balls are flying today, because I think that's 3 straight games where we kind of like an over. All right, let's get back to the chat. Let's see if we can. All right, the chat wants to talk, Tokyo Brandon, your favorite team. Although I think we're both pretty content with what the Padres did for us yesterday. TB and I both had the Padres in some capacity as a best bet yesterday, and they won the game easily. Took 2 of 3 from the Guardians. Actually, have been, since August 1st, this team has been very good. Kind of something that we talked about out of the All-Star break. How long were you going to hold down this Padres team with some of the All-Stars that they had that were underachieving? I think Jackson Merrill has been one of the guys that's really been on fire of late, playing much better. And just the team as a whole, thought they pushed the right buttons yesterday. Great move to bring Jace Bowen in to play defense. He makes a great diving catch in left field. If that gets down, the Guardians might be back in that game. What that allowed the Padres to do, TB, was extend the lead to the point where they didn't really need to use the big bullpen arms. They were able to sort of conserve in the bullpen back-to-back days. So now they're headed to Shea. I almost said Shea Stadium. They're headed to Citi Field right here.
Darryl Strawberry.
I know. I was watching a Mets thing and Shea came up. Shea Stadium, phenomenal ballpark, by the way. I always loved going there until they knocked it down. But they're headed to Citi Field tonight. They're continuing the East Coast road trip. The Padres suddenly hot. Walker Buehler on the mound. My guy Nolan McLean for the Mets. Padres Mets to you. How do you see this one?
If you do not want to take 2 of us 3, each one of us has a particular special going on. Brian, you have a full year special going on, right?
That's correct.
And yeah. Adam has a football special going on.
Yeah, and
I have.
We've got the great. There's still August specials up where it's like 3 for 3, but bunch of good deals on the WagerTalk site for sure.
Yep, Brian is a great long-term capper because, last 30 days he's number 1, and he's been number 1 last 12 years. Adam's preseason football is going great, and if you get the rest of my MLB season, they'll throw in KBO and Japanese baseball for free. So 3 deals for each of us, or you can get a double play with 2 of us for 3 days. So go to wagertalk.com. It's all on our capper pages. So take a look at that. Regarding this one, this is a tough one because I like San Diego in almost every stat except starting pitcher, where the Mets have a huge advantage at starting pitcher here. So that makes me want to stay away from a side. The big advantage San Diego has here is their bullpen. Mets bullpen ranked 22, San Diego ranked 5. So the bullpen, though, we've talked about this in previous shows, that's only a good weapon for you if you're winning the game in the 6th inning. Other than that, the bullpen is not a very good weapon to use. It's kind of like using a knife when your enemy is like 100 yards away. So you'd rather have a gun. And the guns are the starting pitchers and the hitters. So I think the Mets have a little bit of an advantage here. Nolan McLean's a great pitcher. Got him ranked 8 on a scale of 30, so he's in the top 1/3 of all starting pitchers. Got Walker Buehler ranked right around 20. Walker Buehler is just like the Padres, though. When I go against him, he has like a 7-inning no-hit game. So I probably won't play the game, but it looks like the Mets to me in this one, honestly, just because of the starting pitching. The bullpen means nothing if you're not winning the game in the 6th inning.
Brian, you kind of hyped the Mets up last week, said you thought they were starting to turn a corner, starting to play their best ball of the year. And I feel like that's pretty much been the case. Slick Vic in the chat says Mets 7-3 last 10 games are starting to hit. They may be quite a ways out of it, but it's tough to argue with that. They have played much better. Does it continue at home for the Mets here?
Yeah, McLean, about a 115 favorite, total about 8, slightly to the over. If you do play the first 5, you're leaning like 160. So that's the problem with McLean is everybody thinks that he's such a better pitcher here. I don't think it's worth it to lay 160 in 5 innings because, Miller has not played in 4 days, so he's going to pitch tonight. chances are, especially if San Diego's got the lead. But, the Mets bullpen isn't terrible. And to get them at 40 cents cheaper, I kind of like the Mets here in that price ranging, and anywhere from 115 to 118 right now. San Diego right now has got 5 of their top 9 guys all hitting the top 100 for the last week. So no doubt about it. They're hitting very well right now. But when I compare these two teams, the starting pitcher for McLean is so much better. Buehler's ERA is a full run higher when he goes on the road. I think it's only a 48 on the season. So, Mets get the early lead here, and I kind of like them at the minus 115 range.
I like them too. You guys know I've been high on Nolan McLean. Since he was former Binghamton Met, although they're the Rumble Ponies now, but they still throw it back to the
Rumble Ponies.
Yeah, that was an all-time fail. That's an all-time logo right there. The Binghamton Mets with the B. They ruined it. They now are the Rumble Ponies.
Is pretty cool.
The color scheme is terrible. But Nolan McLean, guy I've liked since he was in Binghamton, came to Syracuse and was awesome, and has been great since being up with the Mets. Literally since the day he got called up. This is a guy that's, in my opinion, just took over since the day he got called up. And a couple of years ago, he's been fantastic. Strikeout rate this year, top 15% in the league. Expected batting average 220. All the metrics are really good. Doesn't really give up much hard hit. He's been outstanding. A 1.13 whip, 159 strikeouts in 136.2 innings as a starter. Brian, I think Nolan McLean has kind of flown under the radar because his team has struggled this year. If this Mets team was better this year, I think we'd all be hearing a lot more about Nolan McLean, but you don't really hear about him as much because, and again, to no fault of his, he can only go out and pitch every 5th day, and he's pitched well enough to, for his team to win, but his team hasn't won, and I think he's gotten lost in the shuffle. His career numbers the last 2 years since being called up, 216 strikeouts in 184 and 2/3 innings pitched, a 1.11 whip, and a 3.07 ERA. And all the underlying metrics suggest that those are legit, and that's what he should be. He's an ace, and I too like the Mets. This is actually going to be my parlay league. I think the Mets win. I agree with you, TV. McLean's a big edge at starting pitcher. I know the Padres have their bullpen arms, but if you're trailing, it matters a lot less, and I think that could be the case at some point. So Mets for me, that's going to be my leg of the parlay. Brian, you wanted to add something, and then let me know what we're looking at for a line.
Yeah, you're looking at about a 115, 116 in the line. And also have the Mets discovered a closer? They've got, they get Williams gets hurt once again, and now to bring in Singy. So
yeah, I know he's a little bit of a circus act, but how about Jeffrey Yan's been really good too. Padres have the high leverage advantage. But Mets have had a kind of a deep bullpen, and it seems like they've added to it recently. So I think the Mets are going to be a story of too little, too late. I would not be at all surprised to maybe see them rattle off some wins the rest of the way. Especially we kind of lack less pressure now. I think their fan base gave up a long time ago. So it's like now they're just going out and playing ball. All right, we'll get to a couple more games. Tokyo Brandon, Brian and I have locked in our parlay leg. Do you have an idea of where you'd like to go for the parlay?
Yeah, it's a game we already covered, so I'll just throw that out, and then I will suggest a game that the chat is asking for, if you don't mind.
Go ahead. Yep,
Not to hijack the show or anything.
Suggest the game. Hold your leg till the end because we want people to hang around.
Sure. Sounds good. On the edge of their seats. We're putting butts in the seats, folks. Let's go with the just asked for Deadhead is asking for the Dodgers and Rockies, and I want to make some points about the Dodgers here. So I'd like to talk about this game if you guys don't mind.
Yeah, go ahead, kick us off.
Man, what's wrong with the Dodgers? I'll tell you what's wrong. They don't care. Is first of all, they're kind of cruising in, but Dave Roberts, the trustworthy manager, is starting to disparage his team in the media. So that's not a good look either. You got to keep that stuff in the locker room. If you think people are not playing hard, you got to keep that in the locker room. You don't go to the media. This is another reason why this is just a terrible manager. But anyways, they are uber talented. Nobody's going to disagree with that. But I actually have the Rockies hitting ranked 9, where I got the Dodgers hitting ranked 18. Keep in mind, I'm not saying the Rockies have a better lineup. I'm saying currently in the last 10/14 day period, the Rockies have a better OPS. They have a better WOBA. They have a better everything than the Dodgers by 9 full points. So the Rockies can hit the ball. But they're huge underdogs here, and they should be because they're not as good of a team as the Dodgers. However, when you're a big underdog like this, but you're ranked 9 in hitting, and you're playing against a team whose bullpen is ranked 18 in current form, the Dodgers can't figure out their bullpen. They got guys, they're hemorrhaging hits like crazy when the starters come out. I think the Rockies team total over would be the way to go in this one. Whether you prefer a first 5 team total or you prefer a full game team total, I think the Rockies, they have some bats. Even though most people have never heard of the guys in their lineups, they're swinging it pretty good right now. So yeah, I think a Rockies team total would be how to approach this one.
Yeah, listen, I'm looking at the Dodgers schedule right here. I'm looking at the Dodgers schedule, and I think there's a couple of things going on.
Ooh, boots on the ground in Coors.
Yeah, I was going to pull that up. We love a good. Someone said stop picking their nose. Okay, I mean, I do have pretty. If I'm itching my nose, it's because I have just atrocious allergies right now. This is not. It's not been a good summer for your boy with the allergies. It's rough. That happens in this part of Northeast. You don't want to be an allergy guy up here, and that is certainly me. So I need that winter to roll in where everything just dies, all the plants just die. But yes, boots on the ground tonight in Coors. Snell probably shoves. Coors top 5 ballpark in the world. Also Tucker at high altitude probably turns around the brutal streak he is on. Listen, what I was going to say about the Dodgers schedule is they've played some tough teams. So like there's a couple things going on here. Brian's nodding, and I'm going to throw it to him to agree with me here, hopefully. They played some really tough teams. So they went into the All-Star break. Of course, it's a vacation. Some of them go to the All-Star game. Some of them go and do whatever it is they do for 5 days with a week off. And then they've come back to a very, very difficult schedule. And also to your point, TB, maybe, the game's not meaning as much because they had like a 12-game lead in the division. But the reality is like night in and night out, like recently they've had to play the Brewers. They've had to play the Red Sox. A road series in Arizona with Arizona needing every one of those games. I believe they went Yankees, Phillies out of the break. Like the Cubs, they went to Wrigley. Like they have played some really good teams. In between there, they played the Royals and swept. I kind of think like as they start to play the lesser teams, they might just start going off a little bit. I kind of think that's what's going to happen in this series. I think the Dodgers are going to blow the Rockies out like this whole series. Like I just think they're just so... If they don't, then I think you start to worry. But this is just like, it can't go on that much longer with this team. Now, Brian, I'll let you speak on this. I don't really know how you find value to play that, but like, I like the Dodgers. I think they're going to hit. So maybe it is like an over type situation. But yeah, I wouldn't, this is not where I'm going to try to take a shot with the Rockies at home.
Yeah, you mentioned the Dodgers. 4 out of the 5 teams that they played are all possible playoff opponents. They did play Kansas City. They swept them. And they're playing Colorado. It wouldn't surprise me if they sweep them. But are they going to get up to play Colorado? They've got Pittsburgh and Atlanta on deck. The Atlanta, I think, is a show-me series for them, especially after the way they played in the last couple of weeks. They've gone 22 straight games without scoring more than 6 runs. The Colorado Rockies scored 13 runs last night in San Francisco. And we all know after a team scores a lot of runs like that, they usually struggle offensively the next day. I think they'll struggle against Snell. Snell looked great his first start out, but he has an injury problem, and he's had it for a long time. So that's the problem with backing, the Dodgers in the 250 range here, 260 range, is Snell could get out there and look great for an inning or two and gets hurt, and then you got to deal with their bullpen, which has struggled, especially at the closing situation. So Sugano at home, has pitched very well, and I believe 16 out of his 17 games in Colorado have gone under the total. I don't like the Colorado situation from a hitting standpoint. They had just played, I believe it was 3 series on the road. Now they got to come into altitude, first game in altitude. I know they're used to it because they're at home, but still, you're facing a lefty. They've got a 91, I believe, WRC plus on the season versus lefties. So they haven't really hit lefties all season. I'm less inclined to play the Dodgers or the over here. If I'm looking to play a bigger favorite, I'd much rather have Philadelphia as with Sanchez as a lefty against Miami. Miami first game of series has been terrible all season long, and Sanchez is like 24-1 or something when he pitches at home. He's been terrific. If I'm going to lay it, I would rather lay the number in Philadelphia than I would here in LA.
Billy Roberts says allergies or Adderall. 100% allergies. I was probably, honestly, if I had Adderall, it would probably chill me out. I was definitely so I was a 90s kid when basically they were like they thought everyone had ADD. And I think I fell through the cracks. I think I was definitely one that had ADD. And my mom was like, to the guidance counselor, like, no, he's fine, because I was getting good grades. And they used to think like, well, if you were struggling in school, you had ADD, and I was doing well. And they're like, he doesn't have it. He's fine. 1000% an L right there for mom. I definitely I've got to have ADD. I'm probably like the poster child for it, and no one ever gave me anything for it. So I think if I had Adderall, I'd probably be chill. I think it would have the reversed effect on me. I'd probably actually be able to focus. Instead, I'm hyper as hell. I watch baseball all day, and hopefully you guys benefit from that. But yeah, if you do not want to be in central New York with allergies, like during like the spring or summer. It's a brutal time.
But by the way, this is a special edition that I haven't noticed. This is the first time I've ever done a show with Trig, and he hasn't had a college sports shirt on. Is that a blank shirt?
It is a blank shirt. College sports shirts. I usually go, college sports gear will come out for the basketball show with Rob Vino starting November. Got a whole closet full. A lot of them are sweatshirts. I can't be wearing a sweatshirt right now. It's 80 and humid and gross out. Yeah. So yeah, not sweatshirt weather yet. A month from now, though, gets cold quick here in the Northeast. So sweatshirts will be out come mid-September. All right, let's go one more before we reveal Tokyo Brandon's parlay pick. Couple people want to talk Phillies. Couple people want to talk Phillies in the chat, so we'll talk Phillies. Big series for the Marlins here. Like big series for the Marlins. Brian, I'll come to you first. The Marlins played great ball this weekend against Cincinnati. They have played their way back into at least the conversation for a wild card spot in the NL, something that myself and the pretty much most of the chat, if you rolled with me, are going to need that Marlins to make the playoffs. We have a really nice price on that. This series, in my opinion, will go a long way in determining if the Marlins have an actual chance or not. They get head-to-head games with the Phillies, which is one of the teams they're chasing in the wild card. But more importantly, I mean, Brian, if they go to Philly and like get swept here, I think I don't know that they can overcome something like that. So a massive game for Miami tonight. It's Jansen Junk, and not going to be easy because they're up against Christopher Sanchez, who sort of owned them in his career. So Marlins, Phillies, Citizens Bank Park. How do you see this one?
Yeah, the Marlins only 3 games out of the playoffs now. If they can somehow sweep Philadelphia, we'll see what happens. I don't think they do, though. I like Philadelphia in this game, as I just mentioned. Am I going to lay the 250? No, I don't do that very often. But if you do tend to like to play favorites, I think the line's a little cheap here. I would have probably made it closer to a 270, 280 here. So I kind of like Philadelphia, but I'm not going to get involved with that number. But yeah, as I mentioned, Sanchez at home. It's sort of like when you get Wheeler at home. Wheeler's been great at home, although I believe in the last couple of weeks he hasn't had that same success. But hey, when you put up a track record, when your team's that good, when these two guys are at home, that's the way you got to take a look at it. So look that way. Won't get there because of the line. Maybe play a Miami team total under, something to that effect.
Yeah, under is the way that I was sort of looking. I guess for me, it's a big game for the Marlins. I think they may manage it as such, where I think they're going to be willing. They've got bullpen available here, and I do think that they have like enough good arms where listen, Jansen Junk has been pretty good lately. I think like he's been very streaky during his time with the Marlins. And we seem to be in one of his good runs right now. Last time out, 1 earned run over 6 against the Pirates. He shut out the Mets for 5 in a start before that. So it's like, I think if he can be good here, Tokyo Brandon, like there is a chance where Christopher Sanchez just comes out and gives up nothing, since he's done it against the Marlins for a lot of his career so far. I don't have him in front of me, but I believe Sanchez's numbers against the Marlins are impeccable. So under is the way I would go. How do you see Phillies Marlins here?
Yeah, Sanchez has been one of the best MLB. Hey, someone's using our new emojis. That's cool. Okay. So Sanchez has been one of the top 5 pitchers all season long. He's having a great season compared to past seasons. He's even better. And you're right. His numbers against Miami, very minuscule. Add that to the fact that you're going against a team on the other side that is coming back home after some success on the road. I expect the Phillies to be a little flat here. And it's my junk in a box. It's my junk in a box. Yeah. Is going for the Miami Marlins. Not a bad pitcher, pretty average, pretty mediocre, but I think the Phillies are going to be flat, plus the fact that Sanchez is great. I would take a first 5 game total under, or I would take a Phillies team total under, however you want to approach that. Probably be how I agree with Brian.
I didn't have Andy Samberg on the bingo card for this show. That was solid. TV.
And Justin Timberlake.
Yeah.
It's my junk in a box.
Yeah, that's
great video.
Interesting. I think for me, I know I went with Mets in the parlay. We'll get Tokyo Brandon's parlay late here to close it out in just a second. But like for me, I felt like the sides, I thought the books did a really good job on sides, pricing them out for today's slate. Not uncommon on a Monday with less games. I think this is always sort of one of the days where they tend to do a really good job with with side pricing, but it kind of does seem like there's some value on totals. I think we talked about 4 or 5 of them on this show. And that's another one where I would look toward the under. I think there's some slight value Marlins Phillies under. Freebird in here. He said emojis. Yes, he requested the emojis. He requested the emojis and we got the emojis. That's awesome.
Good.
I love it. That's great. Fire those in the YouTube replay. I think that's where you can put those in the YouTube replay. We'll take any of the comments we can get. We don't even need a comment at this point. Just go in there and spam our new emojis. We'll take that as well. It works just the same. Tokyo Brandon, the people have been waiting now. Who are you closing this parlay out with?
And Freebird is asking for the Braves. We don't really have time to go over it, but I'm not betting that game because that game I just don't like the matchup. So
I think Freebird's just a Braves fan. I think he's just saying like, let's go. Yeah, I think he's just a Braves fan.
Sounds
we'll get
good.
Braves in
like
tomorrow.
Freebird.
We'll do the Braves tomorrow at some point.
He's our world traveler. We like him. So I'm going to go with the Cardinals first 5 on the money line. Brian, our human encyclopedia will tell us what the line is on that. Probably minus.
That's game 2, right, TB? Game 2?
Sorry. Yes, game 2. My mistake.
You're looking at basically 120.
That's a great price. Cardinals are just jacking it right now. They're top 10 lineup right now. So give me the Cardinals. Absolutely. First 5. Second game, guys. Second game. Avoid the first game like the plague.
Yeah, and just to we know what the starters are going to be in the second game. Palante versus Lauder. I'm with you, TB. I think if there's a spot for the Cardinals today, it is likely game 2. So I'm kind of with you on that, and that is you said minus 120 for that first 5 money line, Brian.
Beautiful. Cardinals are
All
one
right.
of those teams, we've talked about it all year long, how the books slight certain teams and they favor certain teams with no justification. Cardinals are getting slighted because they're playing really well right now. Good time to take advantage.
Absolutely. Shout out to Freebird for the donation. I too didn't have a ton of a huge opinion on Twins Braves. So I'll tell you what, Freebird, we'll absolutely incorporate the Braves game into tomorrow's show. We'll give a good breakdown on that one. I think I'm going to have a bigger opinion on them tomorrow for sure. Brian, what do you have anything up? Did you say you had something locked in on the site already?
Yeah, I've got a 4% total, 25 and 10 on 4s and 5%. And these totals have been like 75% the last, 3 or 4 weeks. So they've been great.
And you've blessed us with a total for the parlay as well, one that I very much agree with. So Brian's going to go Tigers Pirates over 8. That was the very first game that we talked about. I'm going to go Mets minus 115 full game, and Tokyo Brandon is going Cardinals first 5 money line in game 2 of the doubleheader. So that's Cardinals first 5 money line, game 2 of the doubleheader for TB. Full game Mets money line minus 115 for me. And then Brian is going with a full game total, Tigers Pirates over 8, minus 110. We can hit this 3-teamer. We'll be slightly in the plus. So let's get it. And the 3 of us will be back 9 a.m. tomorrow morning. We'll see you guys then. Have a great Monday, everybody.